Welcome back to Keep Up channel. Lonely Prince Harry didn't know his dad was in hospital in cancer battle until he saw it on the news, as worried friends say the Duke barely leaves his Montecito mansion, and is now Meghan Markle's spare. Prince Harry only heard his father was in hospital after suffering side effects from his cancer treatment when the news broke to the rest of the world, it has been claimed. Insiders have said the Prince of Sussex, 40, is lonelier than ever and now barely leaves his Montecito mansion as Monday marks the 5th anniversary of Megxit. Meghan Markle, on the other hand, has continued to push ahead with her own personal projects, including a lifestyle show released on Netflix earlier this month. A source told The Sun, first he was a spare to William, now he's increasingly looking like a spare to Meghan, and it's not a great look. Another added, he misses his family terribly, but no one is speaking to him anymore. He just wants to go for a beer with the guys, but his only friends are just the husbands of Meghan's friends. It is believed the palace chose not to contact Harry about his father's hospital admission as not to alarm him 5,000 miles away. King Charles was forced to cancel a string of engagements on Thursday after he was admitted to hospital amid his ongoing cancer care. Charles, 76, had a scheduled appointment but suffered temporary side effects that required a short period of medical observation, Buckingham Palace said. Sources insisted there was no drama and described the brief trip to hospital as being connected to his treatment program. However, it is likely to be a blow for Charles's all-but-estranged son Harry, who was this week also involved in a row surrounding his African children's charity Centable. The Duke of Sussex was left reeling after he sensationally resigned from the organization following a boardroom battle. Harry's role in the HIV and AIDS charity, which was set up to honor his mother Diana, was also one of his last remaining legacies as a working royal. A source who has known the prince since the charity's inception told the Mail, "There's no way of sugarcoating the damage of this, regardless of who's in the right. He'll be reeling." Harry's relationship with his family has been strained ever since he stepped down from his royal duties 5 years ago and moved to California. He also gave up his military titles and any income from the sovereign grant in the process. Prince Harry last saw King Charles for a fleeting half-hour visit last February when his father was first diagnosed with cancer. And it was reported that after the brief meeting, Charles flew by helicopter to Sandringham without Harry. The prince has also grown apart from his brother William. Harry flew back to the UK for his uncle Robert Fellowes' funeral last year, but the pair barely spoke. However, despite the difficulties, Harry has insisted that he will not return to the UK unless he wins his High Court fight for 24-hour armed security. It is thought while he still remains in contact with some friends in Britain, others have distanced themselves from him after his attacks on the royal family. And it is not the first time some of Harry's pals have raised concerns about his lonely life in California. Reports last year implied Harry was at a crossroads and that exile in California was not where he wanted to end up. A source quoted in the Times said, "He used to love a night out in the pub and hanging out in the country with friends. Maybe he has grown into a different person, but do I think he'd really suit the Californian lifestyle? No. Now we've seen it all play out, what has that left him with? On the surface, an enviable lifestyle, but for the Harry I know, I can't imagine that gilded exile in California is where he wanted to end up." It comes as the king appeared in good spirits on Friday as he was seen out in public for the first time. Charles, 76, smiled and waved at well-wishers as he left Clarence House in London in an Audi and is understood to be going to his Highgrove estate in Gloucestershire. On Friday morning, a large crowd including members of the public and photographers watched as Charles was driven out of his London residence at around 10:30 a.m. Sat in the back of a black Audi, he waved down the window and smiled at well-wishers. Moments earlier the Princess Royal was driven out in a black Bentley. The king visited the London clinic on Thursday morning and travelled to and from the hospital by car. He was not joined by his wife Queen Camilla during his brief stay. After he appeared today, tourist Julian Maddie, 34, said it was a relief to see the king looking well. He added, "We were horrified when we heard the news yesterday. We had come down to the palace today to take pictures, but we never imagined we would see the king. To see him smiling and waving, it's such a relief." Buckingham Palace said in a statement on Thursday night, following scheduled and ongoing medical treatment for cancer this morning, the king experienced temporary side effects that required a short period of observation in hospital. His Majesty's afternoon engagements were therefore postponed. The palace added, His Majesty has now returned to Clarence House and as a precautionary measure, acting on medical advice, tomorrow's, Friday's, diary program will also be rescheduled. His Majesty would like to send his apologies to all those who may be inconvenienced or disappointed as a result. Source: dailymail.co.uk. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.